Oh! The dial here changes the keyboard lighting mode. It feels like a Wish version of James Bond, but what kind of sorcery is this? The suspense is at its peak. Hello everyone and welcome to this new video. Today we're going to discover some unusual office supplies together, and I hope we'll have some great surprises. So let's start with this first item, which is a computer keyboard with a typewriter style, so it's pretty original. Alright, here we go. I need to remove the tape. Let's cut this together. I'm removing the tape here, perfect. And let's see together how it turns out. I hope it's good quality. Ooh. Well, we can't see anything inside, so the suspense is still at its peak. From what I can see, we already have a little clip that will let us remove the keyboard keys, and we have spare keys. So that's actually a good thing. They thought of everything. Here we have the power cable, which also looks like good quality. The user manual. Well, after all, it's just a keyboard. It's not very complicated to use. Ooh, it's smaller than I thought. Okay, so obviously we won't have the numeric keypad on the side. Well, honestly, in terms of looks, this really is pretty unusual. It seems pretty heavy, but actually, unlike what I thought, it doesn't have wooden finishes. I mean, maybe it looks like it on camera, but actually no, it's just plastic. And that's a bit of a shame. Other than the two side dials, I don't think there's much metal on this keyboard. It seems mostly decorative. Actually, no, there's a click, okay. It's pretty satisfying. And I'm quite curious to see how noisy it's going to be. So, I don't know what you think about it, but to me it really does remind me of a typewriter. On the other hand, maybe it's missing that little sound, you know, when the paper comes out or when you start over and go to the next line. But other than that, it's true that there's something a little satisfying about it. That's mostly because of the key height. There's a lot of play. I didn't mention it's a wireless keyboard, so you can turn it on anytime. The keys are also backlit. Honestly, I'm really tempted to use it. I think I'm going to try it out in real-world use in the next few days. And of course, I'll give you my final verdict after I've tested it more thoroughly. Oh! The wheel here changes the keyboard's lighting mode. I started by changing the letters to make it an AZERTY keyboard, and I thought I did a pretty good job. But when I started using it, I quickly realized that some important keys weren't really in the right place. Even though I'm used to typing without looking, I still struggled to do what I wanted. Besides, I realized that the keys were so high that my wrists weren't always in a comfortable position, and in the long run, I think that's not necessarily a good thing. So it won't be a good fit for me, because even though I like its look and the sound it makes, the ergonomics just aren't there. Next we have this box of pencils from the brand Sprout. The advantage of these is that they're plantable. That means once you've used them up, you can put them in a pot with some soil and water them. And after a while, you're supposed to get a plant, so instead of throwing the pencil away when it's too small to use, they thought, let's add seeds to the end. That way people can give it a second life. Honestly, it was a clever idea. So, I suggest we open it together. So, what does it look like? Okay. Well, the tip looks pretty standard. Of course, I'm going to try the pencil, but in my opinion, there won't be any unpleasant surprises. On the barrel, there's a little quote, so it's pretty cute. So here, in this case, it's from Jean de la Bruyère, and what we're interested in is right here, just at the end. We have a kind of little capsule, a bit like the ones for medicine, with seeds and soil inside apparently, or at least something that looks like it. Now, we're not supposed to remove it. Apparently, we're just supposed to plant the pencil and wait for 1 to 4 weeks for it to grow. But here, for the sake of the experiment, I want to see if it's possible to open it or not. Ah no, it seems to be well attached. Oh wow, it's solid. Okay, so I guess it just dissolves in water actually, or from moisture. Yeah, it doesn't move at all, so it seems to be pretty sturdy. And what about the pencil? Does it work well? Yeah, well, it's a regular pencil, let's say, nothing special about it. I wasn't facing the camera at all. There, that's much better. As you can see, it works perfectly. And listen, to test this, I'm simply going to place it in the soil, hoping, of course, that it works quickly enough before the video comes out. And yes, the pencil isn't fully used, but it's for a good cause. Now, all that's left is to water everything, using the accessory I found in an earlier video. Well, obviously, I'm spilling some on the side. Oh dear. I wanted to show off, but I struggled a bit. It would have been easier with a pouring spout, but the key is the soil is well moistened. Now we just wait a few days to see results. Hopefully it works. Here's what I discovered the morning after filming the video. Apparently the capsule was released and the pencil fell, so at this point it worked. However, as I'm recording this part, which is 3 weeks later, nothing has grown. I guess I need to be a little more patient, but since the concept is really cool, I'm still gonna give it a thumbs up. After all, the brand doesn't control nature. Now, I'm going to test these transparent sticky notes that come in 3 versions and are supposed to let us take notes and stick them in books without damaging them. So, I have a pad with pre-drawn lines and a margin, another one with a grid, which can be pretty handy for making geometric figures. And finally, something simpler with a large completely transparent area. Well, it's a shame there's not one without any text at all. But oh well, we'll make do. So, what does it look like? Oh! The texture is interesting and resembles Post-its. It looks like paper, though it must be plastic, and it's fairly thin. The adhesive strip is only at the top, just like regular sticky notes. Alright, here we go. I'm going to try this in this beautiful book by a famous YouTuber. There we go, I'm peeling one off. Oh, that's satisfying. And for example, let's say I want to make a comment about this beautiful illustration, so I put this here. Okay. Well, as you can see, it's transparent, but you can still tell there's something there. It's not invisible either. And here we go. Normally, I'm supposed to be able to write on it. So, for example, by making my shopping list for this DIY, that's good. What happens if I run my finger over it? No, it's fine. It doesn't smudge. It absorbs the ink well. There's no problem. Okay, it works very well. Alright, so that's done, that's done, that's done. And then, when you want to remove the note, no problem. The book is like new. Well, listen, this time it's really simple and effective. That's all we want. For me, it's a yes. Next, we have this item, which is a wastebasket shaped like a pencil sharpener. Honestly, I have to say it's pretty well done. I really like the way it looks. And it's true that it can add a little touch of originality to an office, let's say a pretty standard one, with wastebaskets that, as you know, are usually pretty ugly. Let's be honest. And it's true that adding a little decorative touch to these items that are usually a bit neglected can be interesting. And here, honestly, there's not much to test, but there's enough space inside. It's clean, it's black, so obviously when it's dirty, it's less noticeable, sorry. No, honestly, the look of this item seems pretty nice to me, and the finishing touches are actually quite good. Actually, no, yes, it's pretty well done. I don't know what you think about it. For me, it's convincing. There's nothing to test, but I'll approve it since it delivers on its promise and the finishing touches are excellent. The next item is called Air Duster, and it's supposed to let us easily and efficiently clean our car, our computer, our keyboard, or a whole bunch of other things, which are in our house and can definitely get dusty. So, as you can see, it's multi-purpose, but what interests us is its use for the office. So what does it look like? Okay, so the box is well stocked, starting with a kind of toothbrush. Another one that's circular, a third one that's flat, and one that's very thin. A vacuum type nozzle, but miniature, and a small storage pouch. So everything is really well thought out. Charging cable, another super thin nozzle. That I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I think it's to blow air out the sides. Okay. An adapter piece. And finally, the device itself, which is here. Well, as you can see, it comes with many accessories. So, what does it look like? Well, I was expecting something really cheap, but actually it looks really sturdy and it's quite heavy. Typically, objects with little inside are very light. However, unless he intentionally added something, this one is the opposite. It really feels like there's a battery inside that lasts for hours and hours. But what about in reality? I can't tell you that yet. Well, as you can see, it does quite a lot of things. I'm curious to test it out. So of course I'm going to use it in real world conditions to form a genuine opinion. But before that, I wanted to turn it on for the first time with you to see whether it's actually powerful or not, since it's supposed to blow air. So for that, I'm going to attach an accessory. For example, this kind of brush. And here we go. I'm pressing for 3 seconds. Okay. It creates some wind, but isn't that impressive? Oh! Well, actually, in my opinion, it's definitely going to easily dislodge some dust. And to be honest with you, I like the design. It looks like a Wish version of James Bond. During the days following the shoot, I tried the blower on several objects, especially on my Mac, which had dust stuck in some corners, and I have to say, it was overall disappointing. It does blow quite a bit of air, that's true, but it's never enough to lift off the small dust particles, which is kind of a shame. If you want it to work, you actually have to use accessories, especially the brushes that come with it, and honestly, they're much more practical than the device itself. So those are the only ones I'll keep using in the future. And I'm not going to recommend the device itself. If you want my opinion, it's better to buy accessories that attach to a vacuum cleaner. That will be much more effective and practical. Now we have this, which is something important, but it's often underestimated, and that was actually the case for me this year. Because I broke the screen of my laptop, which was from 2011 due to a sleeve that wasn't thick enough when I carried it. I had to replace it. Repairing just the screen would have cost me 700 euros. It's a bit much. You know, there are some companies that aren't really into repairs, unfortunately, even though they make really good products. Anyway, in any case. So here I have a case that I hope will actually be useful to me, and it has a pretty original design since it's shaped like a puffer jacket, so it's not to keep it warm. On the contrary. But it's padded to obviously absorb impacts. So in this case, it's from the brand Rains. So it lives up to its name, because we also want it to be protected from the rain. And as you can see, it's really very minimalistic, and it looks relatively sturdy. And as you can see inside, we have something much softer. It's kind of like a velvety comforter. Honestly, I think my computer inside will feel like it's in a cozy nest. So let's see how it looks right away together. Well, first of all, I got it in the right size. That's already good news. There we go. Indeed, it's really puffed up. I'm closing it. So the downside obviously is that it takes up a bit of space, but at least you can be sure there won't be any problem. Of course, there are different sizes available and also different colors. By the way, I don't think I actually ordered it in black, so I'll check that. Oh yes, okay. Well, I guess I just wasn't very awake, that's all, so that gets my approval too. Now let's move on to a rather special set of pencils, because they're supposed to be infinite and have metal tips. What seems a bit surprising to me is that there are erasers at the end, so maybe they're also erasable, but that would seem a bit strange to me. So let's go. Let's open this together. I'm going to take the green one, because I don't know if you know this, but I love this color. As you can see, they have a little cap, okay? Come on, let's test it together. It just looks like a regular pencil. There really isn't any difference, I think. That's very strange. It looks like a pencil, and as you can see, it's really not meant to be sharpened. There's even a part here that shows us that. I'd have to write for a while to see if the lead runs out. For now, it doesn't seem to be moving. Usually with a regular wooden pencil, the lead wears down pretty quickly. But honestly, I wasn't expecting this. I've always thought that infinity pencils were kind of a scam, and as you can see, the lead really doesn't seem to go down. So, can I erase the writing with the eraser at the end? Oh yeah? But what kind of sorcery is this? Look, there are almost no marks. Incredible. However, the eraser is wearing out. I'll have to test it over the long term to see how it really works. But honestly, I didn't expect it to work this well. Honestly, if it really works, I don't see why we keep buying regular pencils, which have a pretty limited lifespan. If I had to sum up these infinity pencils, I'd say I wish I discovered them sooner, because honestly, they work really well, especially for taking notes. And even if the feeling is a bit different from a real pencil, honestly, you get used to it pretty quickly. While researching, I found that the tip of these can be replaced when worn out, and their writing range can reach 20,000 meters, compared to only 200 meters for traditional wooden pencils, so I definitely approve because it's both practical and eco-friendly. And finally, I have here a product that I found on Etsy. And it's supposed to be the work of someone, let's say, who is independent, who has their own small business. But it's true that the platform has changed a lot in recent years. Now you can also find a lot of things that are factory made. So let's go, I'm going to open it with you. Being very careful because they clearly state that it's fragile. I don't want to break the item before even testing it. It unwraps pretty easily. It's true that they used a lot of bubble wrap. The suspense is at its peak. And here is the item in question. It's a 3D printed Caesar bust. To be honest with you, I was expecting the finish to be a bit worse, but actually I think it's pretty decent. I wouldn't say it looks like marble, but still, I wouldn't mind having this on my desk. And the special thing about this one is that it's a pencil holder. After all, we're here to test office supplies, and so storing them is very simple. You just have to stick them in the back of this poor Caesar, who unfortunately was betrayed by his own people. As you know, that's ancient history. And here, in this case, it actually works pretty well. There are several cavities in his back, and you just have to insert them to get this result, which honestly is really not bad. Knowing that, obviously there are still fewer holes than what he actually had, at least according to historians, so in this case it's really a nod to history, and visually I think it's pretty good. Afterwards, it's true that if it had been made of wood, stone, or even metal, it would have looked a bit cooler. Knowing that there are different sizes, in this case it's the smallest one, but for me it still gets my approval.